Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this interview. We're going to continue this educational series. I'm Brandon Kennedy, the owner and lead advisor with Kennedy Financial Group. And through this COVID-19, we've just been offering just kind of some timely updates in a digital format with different experts. And today we're excited to have Dave Lage with Lifetime Insurance Services. Dave, how you doing? How you holding up through all this?
Oh, not too bad. We're busier than ever with with good reasons.
Yeah, no, it's a challenging time for a lot of us, but trying to just stay busy and stay productive through all of this. So, like I said, Kennedy Financial is offering just kind of updates in different formats to reach people. One of our core values and something that we strongly believe in is you need to be educated, informed, and those that are doing that have much better outcomes than those that don't. Our passion is to be a guide and help families make smart financial decisions, in their life. And, in our experience, we've helped hundreds of families. Those that have a plan and a process behind their decision-making have less stress, have better outcomes. And, one of these things that we want to talk through today is automotive insurance. Kind of leads us into, if you've been watching the news and following any of this stuff, there's some changes coming up in the beginning of July that maybe caused some questions and maybe some concerns on what you might have out there. So we're going to bring in Dave to talk through that and point us in the right direction. Dave is a senior insurance specialist with Lifetime Insurance Services. He is a Dave Ramsey ELP. And that's how we met. We've kind of been on similar paths, through our career. For the last 15 years, he has been building out the insurance agency over at Lifetime Insurance. Kind of been doing this his entire working career as an insurance guy. I've been on the financial services building up here. And Dave's just been a great resource, and we're excited to get into some questions with Dave today.
Sounds good.
Like I said, if you've been watching the news these last couple of weeks, I'm sure you're getting bombarded with questions, but there's this Michigan auto insurance reform. Tell us about that, what that means, and what's happening on that front.
Yeah. So basically, they're completely redoing the way that insurance is being handled in Michigan from how it has been in the past. We're still a no-fault state, as we always have been, but they're kind of completely changing the way that insurance carriers are able to quote, rate, and give discounts for auto insurance. There's pros and cons to that. A lot of discounts that were previously available, such as education and occupation discounts, are now being removed. They're kind of changing how you're rating certain territories and things like that. But on the consumer end of things, there's really two main changes that they are making under the insurance reform. There's the medical portion, which is in regards to injuries sustained from an auto accident, and then liability, which is if you are in an accident and somebody tries to sue you, it's how much protection you have from the insurance carriers. On the consumer level, those are really the two main areas that are changing in Michigan. I guess just kind of diving into that, the first part of that being the medical. Previously, Michigan was an unlimited medical, and the only state in the nation that had that. So everybody was automatically put into the unlimited medical. Of course, you were paying for it, and you were also paying a fee for, it's called an MCC fee, which was going directly to the state of Michigan. That was everything leading up to July 2nd. As of July 2nd and going after, any policy that renews after July 2nd or new business that started after July 2nd goes into this new system where you now have a choice or an option to either continue to receive unlimited medical, cap it at $500,000, cap it at $250,000, and in certain situations, cap it at $50,000 or completely remove it off of your auto policy altogether. There are pros and cons to doing that, as there are with anything. The unlimited medical is by far the best coverage that you can have for injuries in an auto accident in the nation, but you pay for it. So when you cap it, which everybody has the ability to choose unlimited, cap it at $500,000 or cap it at $250,000, when you choose the capping option, you're basically saying after that dollar amount, the auto insurance is no longer responsible for those auto injuries, and it's between you and whatever else you had available to cover those expenses. If you have private health insurance that covers auto-related accidents and you feel that that coverage is sufficient for you and you don't want to have the personal injury protection or medical on the auto policy, you're now able to exclude that and remove it completely, and you would not pay any of the MCC fee and you would not pay any of the personal injury protection in most cases because of that. Same thing if you have Medicare, you're able to remove it. And if you have Medicaid, you're able to reduce it down to $50,000 as an option. So again, keep in mind, if you're doing that and you're waiving the medical, you're just saying to the auto insurance carrier that you are relieving them of any responsibility of injuries in an auto accident. And at that point, you're now taking it up with your current provider or Medicare or whoever you have as sole responsibility to have those things taken care of for you.
All right, good stuff. So I think to summarize, it's you have some choice that we might not have had before. But we've talked a little bit. This July 1st or this July 2nd date is not a hard and fast. You have to decide something right now. It's when your policy renews, or if you issued a new policy. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that's correct. So there's been some news coming out and things like that. Unfortunately, it's not been the best relay of information, and it's caused a bit of a hysteria in the industry, I guess. So basically, they're letting you know that as of July 2nd, there's going to be a change. They're saying that if you don't do anything, you could be paying the highest rates. The reality is every policy that renews after July 2nd will renew into the new system, and you'll have those options to choose what type of coverage you want. So if your policy renews in October, for example, nothing is going to automatically change or happen on July 2nd for you. You're still grandfathered in under the old system until you hit that renewal, and then you will renew into the new system. So you don't have to reach out to your agent right away or do something right away if you're not going to renew for a few months. Now, with that being said, you by all means, if you feel like the new system is going to be a benefit to you and you don't want to wait until that renewal, you can contact your agent and they can start working on re-quoting or looking for a new policy under that new system to see if that's going to be a benefit to you. But if you don't do anything, it doesn't mean as of July 2nd, you're automatically paying the highest premium. It just means that when your policy does renew, if you choose not to tell them what you want, they have to give you the unlimited medical again, because that's what you previously had. And they are going to most likely give you the highest liability limits, which is $250,000, $500,000.
Okay. So yeah, talking on some of those liabilities, I think that's an area. But can you maybe just on a high level, what are some mistakes, not necessarily on this reform and change, but just in general, what are some mistakes that you see people making on home insurance or auto insurance?
Just not understanding the coverage. I think I think sometimes we get a little focused on premium only or pricing. So, and it's going to be even more of a concern with the reform taking place. Meaning, if you're getting something in the mail from another carrier that's saying, "Hey, we have an insurance rate for you for $60 a month," and you're like, "Oh, that's great. I'm paying $115 now, sign me up." But if you're not looking at the coverages and realizing, you had unlimited medical or you had liability limits that were adequately covering you, and now you're taking a watered down policy with no medical, you don't want to find out when you need it that you don't have it because you just simply bought a policy on premium. And that's going to be more evident now than it ever has been before.
All right, good stuff. One question we get a lot, and I probably either defer to you or try to answer it as best I can, but umbrella policies, can you kind of talk about how those work and go hand in hand? And maybe, is it, I think we talked there a little bit, maybe more important these days with this new reform happening.
Yeah. So going back to kind of the first points that I was making, there's two major changes. So that first one was medical, and we pretty much kind of went over that. But the second part is the liability. So previously or currently, if you are at fault in an accident, you are allowed to be sued by the other party for pain and suffering only. And that's what your liability is there to cover, which most common has been the 100,000 per person, 300,000 per accident liability limits. After July 2nd, the rules are changing on that, and now you're able to be sued by the other party for pain and suffering, as well as their medical expenses if they chose not to have enough coverage or didn't have enough coverage. So in layman terms, what that means is if you're in an at-fault accident and you hit somebody who chose not to have enough coverage for themselves or any coverage at all, you are now responsible to pay their medical bills, because they will pretty much guaranteed to sue you for it. Because now they have, $200,000 worth of medical expenses, or, God forbid they're permanently disabled, or whatever the case may be, they're now able to sue you for that. So because of that, one of the changes that the state of Michigan has made is the minimum liability limits used to be 20,000, 40,000. They've now changed that to 50,000, 100. So it's basically kind of showing you that everybody should kind of tier up a little bit on their liability limits. If you were previously carrying 100, 300,000, you may want to realistically look at upping that to the 250, 500, or even taking the $1 million umbrella policy, which gives you $1 million on top of what the auto and home have for the liability limit. So in most cases, $1.5 million worth of protection. That way, if you're in an accident and you're sued and that person chose not to protect themselves and they're now suing you, you don't have to worry about them going after your personal assets, because you have more than enough liability protection to protect yourself from that.
No, that's good stuff. So, I think this is a lot of information, a lot of changes. I think that the takeaway would be it's not necessarily urgent. You don't have to make a choice by today or tomorrow. You've got some time to do this, but it's probably worth looking at. If somebody wants to talk through and this maybe stirred some things that they need to revisit their plan, what's the best way to get in touch with you? And can you maybe just talk real quick on what that process looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially being part of the ELP, the Dave Ramsey program, we're definitely here to answer questions, even if we don't have your policy, or even if we're not quoting you out. If you need an unbiased question or answer about something, by all means, we're here for that. To get a quote through us, it's super easy. You can give us a call. You can even go online. You can provide the information in person. You can do it by email. We try to make it as user-friendly as possible for everybody. I would definitely say make sure that you have a good agent, especially with what's going on with the insurance reform, because especially after July 2nd, you're going to be having some detailed questions, and every scenario is going to be different because everybody has a different health insurance setup, whether it be, everybody's under the same, Blue Cross plan, or mom and dad has Medicare and they're in the household, and kids might have something different. So it's very complex now. You want to make sure you have a good agent that's able to take the time to explain that, show you what the options are going to be, let you know the pros and cons of each, and that way you can make an educated decision on what's going to be best for you and your family.
Good stuff. All right. Yeah. Like I said, Dave's been a great resource. Is independent, can kind of shop out some different policies, look at what's the best fit for your situation. So, this is just another area that making good choices lead to better outcomes. Maybe you save money. That's one thing, but being underinsured is much more dangerous than saving a few bucks on a multi-policy. So, hopefully you found this informative, and if you have further questions, ask Dave. He's certainly an expert in this area. So thanks so much, Dave, for your time.
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks, guys.